Hi, welcome to Mattamuskeet National Wildlife Refuge. My name is Melissa and I'd like to show you around the refuge on an airboat. Grab your jacket and let's go. Mattamuskeet Refuge is one of over 550 national wildlife refuges in the United States, all overseen by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. The heart of the refuge is Lake Mattamuskeet, and it's just down this canal. It's the largest natural lake in North Carolina, over 40,000 acres of open water and prime wildlife habitat. But would you believe that someone once decided it'd be a good idea to drain the lake and farm the lake bed? The Mattamuskeet Lodge behind me here was built in 1915 to house a pump station. 4 steam engines pumped lake water out canals to Pamlico Sound. The drained lake bed was farmed off and on between 1915 and 1930, but the project was never profitable, so the entrepreneurs sold most of the lake bed and the pump station to the federal government in 1934, and it was immediately declared a migratory bird refuge. It's still a migratory bird refuge today. Those large white birds taking off over there are tundra swans. About 30,000 swans migrate to the lake every fall, all the way from their breeding grounds in northern Canada and Alaska. The swans spend the winter here in family groups. The adult cob and hen, that's the name for the male and female, are solid white with black bills. Their cygnets, the young swans, are grayish and have some pink on their bills. Tundra swans feed on the roots and stems of aquatic plants, including a group of plants known as submerged aquatic vegetation, or SAV. Amazingly, most of the lake is no deeper than a swan's neck, so it's easy for the birds to tip up and grub the bottom of the lake for SAV roots. Why do thousands of ducks call the lake home? Well, the simple answer is that the lake and the managed wetlands on the refuge provide the birds with a smorgasbord of their favorite foods. Along the lake edge, there's a shallow zone of marsh, grasses, and sedges. During the growing season, the lake level drops about a foot as southwesterly winds blow its water out 4 major canals to Pamlico Sound. As the water level in the lake drops, the lake edge is exposed and greens up in an explosion of annual grasses and sedges. Fall rains slowly flood the emergent marshes to depths just right for dabbling ducks, such as mallards, black ducks, pintail, and green-winged teal that tip up to feed. The refuge-managed impoundments provide habitat similar to the lake edge, and combined with the SAV, the table is set for waterfowl. The action on the lake is not just in the winter. As the lake level rises and falls in the spring, summer, and fall, thousands of shorebirds and wading birds feed along its edges. Sandpipers, plovers, herons, and egrets, like that one, are a common sight along the shore during those months. We're right here on the edge of the lake where it's really muddy, and you can see the signs of all the animals that we haven't seen today leaving their tracks in the mud. There were some raccoon tracks, and also we have this line of deer tracks here. You can see the marks made by the 2 hooves, and because it's so muddy here, you can also see on some of these tracks that there are 2 marks right behind the hooves that are where the dew claws from the deer that are actually kind of up on their ankle make a mark as well. There's a whole bunch of other mammals that live on this refuge. There's things like black bears and bobcats, coyotes, and even red wolves that have been reintroduced in eastern North Carolina. Adjacent to the shallow shores of the lake are hundreds of acres of bald cypress swamp. These woody structures are bald cypress knees. Scientists think their function is to provide support for the tree and perhaps to provide some oxygen for their lower roots. In the fall and winter, mallards and wood ducks seek shelter in the cypress swamps. Fish-eating osprey build their nests in the tops of the trees in the spring. And in the spring and the summer, the bright yellow prothonotary warbler fills the swamp with the sound of its loud sweet, sweet, sweet. Of course, birds aren't the only show in town. A lot of freshwater fish species live in the lake as well. Species like largemouth bass, brim, and catfish live in the lake year-round, and other species migrate up and down the canals to Pamlico Sound, including American eel, blueback herring, white perch, and the blue crab. That mass of white birds out there is a huge flock of snogies. Snogies spend the winter at the lake, and then they migrate back to the Arctic to breed in the spring. Snogies fly in big flocks like Canada geese do, but theirs tend to look more like U's or W's rather than V's. Snow geese also make a honking sound like Canada geese, but it tends to be a little bit higher pitched and more nasal sounding. Some people even think they sound a little bit like a yipping dog. I like to think about them as the teenagers of the refuge. If one bird takes off, they all take off. And they are always chattering. We're back. What a day. Ducks, swans, geese, shorebirds, waders, bass, brim, they all call Mattamuskeet home. With its open water, shallow marshes, bald cypress swamps and canals, it certainly proves itself to be a wildlife wonderland. I'm glad you joined me today, and I hope you'll come back again soon.